Hello everyone, and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. Apologies for my absence yesterday. Family out from the UK. We're very busy at the moment, and in between all the other things that we're doing, we're exploring a family tree. Very nice thing to do, and for the kids and the grandkids, and finding all kinds of juicy gossip out about the ancestors. So that's where I've been. Meghan Markle apparently has been recording a new podcast. The whole world groaned when the news was revealed that Confessions of a Founder is going to hit the airwaves in April. We all said, oh no, when will our suffering end? And I'm going to have a look at this because, of course, Archetypes was a giant flop podcast, and Spotify, basically fired the Parkles and let it be known that they were effing grifters. And so we didn't think much would happen on the podcast front. Suddenly a mad scramble. And what is going on with that? We hope to find out with the Housewives Tarot. Meghan is going to be interviewing female founders of successful businesses to learn tips from them, hear their stories. She, of course, an unsuccessful founder of a business, knows nothing at all about business, and it's fascinating that she thinks she's qualified to host a podcast on this. She hasn't even got any product yet to launch upon the unsuspecting masses, but never mind, that hasn't stopped her before. The most rational explanation I've heard for this sudden appearance of the podcast comes from the Sidley twins, who seem to understand this realm of being an influencer better than most, thanks to their extensive experience of watching the Kardashians over the years. And they seem to think that this is a pay-to-play kind of arrangement between Meghan and her friends, her Montecito cronies, and they're going to have the opportunity to come onto her podcast and promote their jewelry, flowers, makeup ranges, handbags, maybe children's clothes. For instance, Serena Williams has just brought out a range of kids' clothes, Janie and Jack, I think it's called. And so they get the opportunity to promote their stuff on her podcast, and she maybe gets the opportunity to make some money out of that little scenario. We're going to test that theory with the Housewives Tarot. Made a whole lot of sense to me. We're going to have to say allegedly about it, and let's remind you, this is just tarot, and it's for fun and entertainment, and I just express my opinions here, and I just read energy. And of course there is a disclaimer. Oh, these cards are just leaping out of my hands. There is a disclaimer in the box below, so we're just going to ask, why is she suddenly doing this? What's this all about? How does she feel about the failure of Archetypes? Because she really has pivoted away from that whole whiny, poor woe is me type of thing onto, now I'm an entrepreneur and I've established a business and I'm an influencer and I'm going to sell my jam and be rich. And so how does she feel about that Archetype flop? What's really going on? Is this really just an opportunity for her to make some money, for her mates, her chums, to make some money? And how's it going to do? Is it going to be a rip-roaring success or not? As ever, I think that or not is more likely, but we will find out. Maybe it's just going to be amazing. She has apparently teased with some jaw-dropping revelations from her time as a royal. I don't know about that, but that's what people are saying, that she's teasing with that she's going to tell us, what the Queen ate for breakfast or something on the royal train. I'm speculating wildly, of course. The camera seems to have gone wonky again. It has been moved. Hands move things in this house. So, we have the Fool, oh dear, and it's the Fool in reverse as our underlying energy. The Fool is, of course, off on a new adventure when it's upright, very excited, very enthusiastic, gullible a bit, but yeah, full of the thrill of the adventure. It's in reverse. This is nothing new. We've been down this road before many times, which is why I think some of the royal commentators and the YouTubers who are watching all this stuff and commenting on it and doing spoofs and stuff have lost the will to live when they heard they have to suffer through 8 episodes of this guff. It's like, oh no, are we in purgatory? Is this like an episode of Lost, basically? Fool in reverse. This is not a new venture for her. This is more of the same old, same old. It's very jaded. It's very tired. She's very jaded and very tired for all the gushing and the wide-eyed enthusiasm for boiling spaghetti in a pot. Not very promising card as our underlying energy. So I'm going to scoot around, and as things have really amazingly moved since I was last here, and we're going to look at the actual story, and the story is the 10 of Swords. Oh dear, it's a bit Fool in reverse, the 10 of Swords. It's the ruin card, the end of the road to ruin, the dark night of the soul. Can it get worse? What that card tells me, the fact that it's in reverse, is that she's trying desperately to prevent that energy from activating. She is almost at rock bottom. She knows it, we know it, we're all watching it now. I suspect even the sugars see through it by now. Even the most, shall we say, deranged. They call us the derangers, so why not? But she's trying to prevent it. 10 of Swords in reverse. This is the last desperate attempt to snatch a victory from defeat. So that's what's going on there. The energy is confirming itself with the Fool in reverse and the 10 of Swords in reverse. So why this sudden interest in doing a podcast? One of the YouTubers that I watch, and a relatively new one, Star Chairs, I think her name is. She's a PR person. She's got some quite interesting things to say. She said that the domain was only registered in December for this Confessions of a Founder, stolen or copied, allegedly, from various very similar podcasts. Nothing new under the sun. Fool in reverse again. It's not original, been done 1,000 times before. Even the name has been out and about before. Just like as ever, we have the same copycat vibe with this thing, but apparently very new thought. So why allegedly, according to this YouTuber, so why the need now to do it? Okay. That ties in with my next reading that I have planned for today. 5 of Pentacles, the card of being an outcast, the card of financial ruin, poverty. 2 cards of ruin on this tarot table, and a card that tells me that there is no way that she can restart this phase of her life of being the Duchess of Sussex. She's broke. She's facing ruin. She might not be technically broke, but she's in trouble. She's in a whole lot of trouble. She's in a whole lot of trouble with the A-listers. We know that. We're getting that. It's like a cycle. It comes back every now and then. The desperate push to be best mates with Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston always pushes it straight back and says no, just like Angelina Jolie does. We're getting those stories out again. That desperate attempt to cling on to A+ listers because Meghan is a D-lister at best, and going down. At this point, she's failing. As ever, is a huge flop. I doubt very much the Netflix deal is going to be renewed. I've read on that. It looks like the marriage is in very serious trouble. Going to look at that again in the financial context and what's going on with all this mad rush to get stuff out. She's in big trouble. big trouble. It's also just, by the way, a card of illness. It's not necessarily just that you are broken, desperate, and alienated and isolated and exiled, and nobody is taking your calls and no one wants to speak to you, from Ari Emanuel to Ted Sarandos to your husband to whomever. It's a little bit of a cray-cray energy in that card. Illness is in there as well. My opinion, my energy read. So, how does she feel about the flop cast, the previous one, archetypes, that they've falsely inflated? And I think at one stage when it first launched, they rated it higher than Joe Rogan. That didn't last very long. They tried to get Joe Rogan cancelled, as I recall, even at that point. Those were the glory days when they had the power and the glory, and they were strutting large upon the global stage. How things have changed for the Parkles. So how does she feel about that failure? Seven of Cups. She still believes, Seven of Cups, that it was the best thing that ever happened. It was the greatest show on earth. Seven of Cups, very deluded. Real fantasy energy about the podcast. I'm sure she believes that it was great and that there were people at Spotify who were sabotaging her success, just like she seems to believe there were people at Netflix who are sabotaging her success. Of course, we know now, as a matter of fact, that her voice was patched in. She didn't even go and interview all her guests. She only interviewed the really top tier guests, 2-tier Megan. Her producers had to go and interview the rest of them. People resigned and were very angry and spoke about how she'd actually taken their ideas. The whole thing wasn't even her idea, allegedly, and all of that. But she's still very deluded, still thinks it was just brilliant. Not surprising, really. So this next card is the pay-to-play thing. These women who are going to appear, we know Claire Waight Keller is on. She, of course, the famous designer of the wedding dress at the time, was working for Givenchy. She was top tier. Now she's got a capsule collection at Uniqlo. So she's really fallen from grace, but she's clung on to Meghan Markle, or Meghan Markle has clung on to her. Maybe it's mutually beneficial. I don't know. She's apparently going to be the first guest, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us about this notion that they're going to be there punting their collections and Meghan is going to be benefiting from it. I've got the Six of Swords in reverse. That's an interesting card, because it's the transition card. It's the moving away from troubles, putting yourself into a less difficult situation, moving on from something to calmer times, more peaceful times, less conflicted times. Also, it's an overseas energy, travel energy. It's in reverse, just not being able to move on from difficulty. And that's interesting, that Meghan's notion of how her life was going to be was very different from how the reality is right now. Six of Swords in reverse, that even though she's now living in her dream destination and allegedly living her dream life, it really hasn't improved for her. Leaving the royal family, Six of Swords, exiting, hasn't worked out for her. This is telling me a larger answer than just, oh yes, they're all in it for the money, and a mutually beneficial arrangement for them. It tells me something more interesting than that. It tells me almost that they might, whoever's on her show, might have been with her through this misadventure of leaving the royal family. Serena has been around for a long time. Claire Waight Keller has been around for a long time. So some of these women might have been around pre-Megxit, or even encouraged the Megxit thing and said, come over here, you'll do better here, you'll have opportunities here. The royal family are shutting you down and they're not letting you shine and modernize them and be the best thing that ever happened and make tons of money. Come to us, come to California, and we'll make sure that your dreams all come true. But they haven't. Six of Swords in reverse. I'm getting a weird energy from this, and of course this is all about energy. I'm getting a consistent energy. I've got the Fool in reverse, I've got the Five of Pentacles, I've got the Ten of Swords in reverse, I have the Six of Swords in reverse. I'm getting ruin, failure, disaster, financial ruin, reputational ruin, the whole Megxity thing being a ruin. And I'm getting almost a sense in that Six of Swords is that some of these people that are on this podcast, it's almost like you owe me. You better jolly well show up on this podcast, because I'm almost getting blame. You lured me. You promised me, you assured me, and yet here I am. Never mind that it's her own lack of talent, a lack of likability, relatability, and all the rest of it that means that she has squandered all these golden opportunities. I'm just getting a weird, guilting kind of energy in that Six of Swords in reverse. Very odd. And how's it going to do? Is it going to be a surprise hit we wanted with Love Megan? Whether that was going to be a surprise hit. Is this one going to be so bad that we can't resist listening to it and getting business tips from Megan? How's it going to go? We've got the Nine of Swords, and it's in reverse. It's the worry, anguish, stress card, the Nine of Swords. This Nine of Swords takes it to an extra kind of level of cray-cray in its artwork. Let's have a look at it again. The Nine of Swords does look a bit cray-cray, doesn't it? With all those knives on the in the picture on the card. And it's sitting under the Five of Pentacles, which I said for me energetically, in my opinion, has a level of cray-cray in it. She might come across as quite unhinged in this thing. I'm asking how it's going to go, how it's going to be received, how's she going to come across, whatever in that sort of realm. And I'm getting the Nine of Swords, and it's in reverse. It's the stressed, high anxiety card. There are moments, there's stills that have been captured from With Love Megan from the Netflix show where she looks quite mad. Some of those reaction, those moments, those micro expressions are quite scary. And I think we're going to get moments in this podcast of derangement. My opinion, inexpert opinion, I'm not diagnosing. I'm going to say this is how it's going to come across. People are going to say, did she really say that? Did she really react like that? I don't know if it's going to be one of those podcasts where you actually see her interviewing the person, or if it's just going to be released as a voice thing, an audio thing on Lemonade. I don't know how that's going to happen. But I think it's going to be quite scary, quite disturbing. That's a better word. I think it's going to be quite disturbing. I'm getting just a bit of that psycho scene in the shower vibe off of this card. That's just an energy reading. That's just my opinion. That's just a little bit of sunlight on the tarot table to lighten the mood. It got a bit dark there, didn't it? Some very disturbing cards on this tarot table. And we, of course, have the fantasy card as well here, the deluded card, in and amongst all the ruin and failure and no more chances, no second chances, no way back. It's disaster, trying to just avert the disaster, but it is a disaster. And it looks like if I'm going down, that Six of Swords in reverse, you're going down too. That is your reading. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.